Hello, I am your host, Jenny Oceans. Welcome to Coming Home with Jenny Oceans. This is your authority podcast when it comes all things nervous system. Not for another trendy post or reel on socials. This is actual change for you to understand your nervous system, to understand why mindset alone doesn't work, why understanding that going into trauma release sessions will not change your life if you are not combining the science, the spirituality, the mindset, and the nervous system regulation. This is your podcast where you will learn and understand why your mind and your body is working in a certain way. This podcast is real, raw, and authentic with absolute authority when it comes to all things nervous system. Let's go change your life.
Did breathwork alone save my life? 3:33 on the clock. No, absolutely not. But breathwork was a massive part on creating the change in my life. This episode, I'm going to go in and speak to you about how breathwork changed my life and what else is happening in my life and what I've been doing for the past 20 years to create change in my life and to literally save my life. So let's dive in. Let's get this light right and let's do this thing. Here we are. Welcome to another episode of Coming Home with Jenny Oceans, real, raw, and authentic. All conversation leading back to your nervous system. I want to come in and share with you because there's a lot of people, they say, did breathwork actually save your life? And the truth is, no, it didn't. It was not breathwork alone that saved my life, but breathwork was definitely the thing that made me realize that what I had been doing wasn't enough. And if I continued to do the things that I had been doing, nothing was actually ever going to change. Taking a sip of cacao. Yum. So this episode, I will be real, raw, and authentic as always. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my journey. And I've shared this story so many times. And every time I share it, the story is different. And that's okay. It's the same story, just told in different ways, because that's life. So 20 years ago, well, let's move all the way back. I started at age of 5, I started going to counselors and psychologists, and that became part of my very normal weekly life. I would go and see someone in talk therapy from the age of 5 until the age of 32, almost on a weekly basis, all through that period. I had changes and transmissions in between, and I had pauses in between, but all in all, roughly every single week from the age of 5 to the age of 32, I seen some sort of counselor or psychologist. It was part of what I did. I did stop for a period of time from between 20, from between 20 until about 22. As a young teenager, I struggled with a lot of weight issues. I did build up to eating disorders. I went through a process of not eating at all. I went through stages of being bulimic. I went through stages of hiding as I was eating, sneak eating, binge eating. I also got really, really sick, and I got to the stage where I couldn't walk. I was on the couch. My stepdad had to carry me to the bathroom because I couldn't walk. I remember my teacher, my principal, and friends from school came home with pancakes filled with absolute butter and cream to try to fatten me up because I lost so much weight. Anyway, moved through that, and that eating disorder stayed with me for a very long time. It just became normal to eat and bring it back up. That was just normal life. Definitely not normal, but that's just what I was doing. And then I had many different turns and twists in my upbringing, but I decided to, I had my boyfriend. Yes, that's where I was going. I had my boyfriend from a young age. We lived together. I thought we were going to be together for the rest of my life. We as a family celebrated Christmas together. And after quite a few years, we moved together when I think I was 15. And he decided he didn't want to be with me anymore. So he left me, and I was absolutely heartbroken. And also, because I did start recording this podcast this morning and then I decided to not continue with that. But what happens is, this is how incredible our body is. When we go through challenging phases in life, your mind will start cutting out these times to protect you and to keep you safe. So if you are finding it hard sometimes to put puzzle pieces of your life together, if there's pieces that are just blank, you don't understand how that happened and that happened, and the timelines just doesn't make sense, it's because your body, your nervous system is protecting you, and it creates blanks in your mind. So if you ever feel like you want to tell a story about your life and you're like, I can't put these pieces together, I often call my mom and I say, Mom, what are these timelines? And she will try to put the pieces together. And it is just your nervous system trying to keep you safe by blocking out these moments. So my boyfriend, he left me. My life was shattered. I thought life was over. And my beautiful friend, I'm so incredibly grateful and will forever be grateful. She told me, let's go traveling. So we did. We went traveling. Apparently, I was the one that wanted to go on Trans-Siberian Railway. I have no idea that was me, but she's reminded me that that was my idea. So we jumped on the train. We went to Russia, Moscow, and we went. Another nervous system thing. I was able to fall asleep anywhere at any given point in time. Again, a protection mechanism that I had created. I actually fell asleep at a train station in Moscow, one of the biggest train stations in the world, and I just lay there and slept with my big backpack. Anyway, we then took the train to we Mongolia. We went to Mongolia. Freaking amazing, epic. And then we went to China on the train. And then from China, we flew into Australia. And in Australia, I met a man. He was 15 years older than me. And I later realized many, many things. Anyway, when I met this man, he was out of the box. He lived a very different life compared to most people in the world. He taught me many, many, many things. I'm very grateful. And he was a tin hat foil man, believed in all the conspiracy theories, and we started going to church. He introduced me to The Secret. This was in 2007. I think that was pretty new. I think that was pretty close to when The Secret was released. I'm looking, seeing if I can find a book. It will be here somewhere. The Secret was on repeat in our home every single day. The DVD, the CDs, the DVDs, it was playing constantly on the TV. I created my very first vision board, which was a whole wall in my very first cafe that I started. And very many cool things happened. I worked a lot with my mind. I worked with a lot of understanding my mind. I was going to church. I read the Bible. Bringing in the spiritual path. And I have read the Bible. I've always had a strong connection to God. No one in my family is religious, but I've had a very strong connection to God my entire life. As a kid, I remember having a Bible and reading the Bible sometimes, and I would go to Bible school. But anyway, started going to church, so really bringing in that spiritual path, the God part, that God would save me. Anyway, I went through a really turbulent time with my ex-husband for very many years. And I was back at the psychology chair because I was really struggling. And I did the things. I was talking about it. I was journaling. I was reading. I was trying to do the mindset work. And I remember being in a really bad state. I tried to end my life numerous times, and I was in a really, really, really bad state. And I went to the psychologist every single week. I would go there, and I remember being diagnosed. And I was really dependent on medication. I was dependent on this medication for years. I was diagnosed with numerous things. When they were telling me what my diagnosis was, I really believed that, and that became my survival mechanism. I believed that that was my truth. I started studying it. I bought books. I started reading about it every day. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. This is me. I was told that I was never going to be a mother. I was told that I think they said 8 or 9 people out of 10 with my condition committed suicide. Thank you. That's a nice thing to tell someone. Um, And I really believed in this, and I was medicated, and I live with daily anxiety, and panic attacks was part of my weekly life. And it was a lot. And I really believed that my life was going to be living with being medicated and with these conditions and with these labels. And I believed that that was my life. Anyway, things changed, and now I'm sharing this story. I was like, where are you going with this, Jenny? Did breathwork really change my life? Anyway, a lot of things happened. I met a beautiful man. I got divorced. My man divorced me. And I met a beautiful man very short after, and I forgot to take my medication, which I thought I couldn't live without. Like, I was the crazy person. I would bang on the local GP in Byron Bay, local GP's door. I remember my mum flew over from Sweden to look after me because she was very worried. My beautiful mother. Gosh, I love her. She flew over to look after me, and I remember one morning I was out of medication, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I jumped in my car like a psycho, and I drove to the local GP in town in Byron, and I was banging on the door because they just opened, and I was like, I need my meds. Fucking psycho. Anyway, that's how brainwashed I had become at that stage. Anyway, I met this man, and I forgot a weekend to take my medication. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And also, on top of all of that, for very many years, I've been injecting myself with depot injections, which totally fucks with everything in your body, just creating such a nothingness. And I was medicated. It was so much nothingness. Anyway, I met this man, and I forgot to take my medication. I was like, oh shit, I can actually live without this. It was such a switch. I was like, I can actually live without this. I do not need this. I can get through a day without putting this into my body, which was so foreign to me. I didn't think I could. I had been put in such a belief that I needed that to get through the day. Anyway, so I got off the medication. I just didn't take it again because I was like, if I'm fine without it a whole weekend, I will be absolutely fine without it. Taking another sip of my cacao. And I started going to a doctor, and I said, the GPs in Byron are very different. And I said to my doctor, I said, I met this man. She said, something's changed. I said, yeah, I met this man. I stopped taking my medication. And she goes, I think you should really stop taking these injections, these depot injections. And I said, well, I don't want to have a child now. She goes, no, but I believe you really need to stop. Your body needs a break. Thank frick for the doctors in Byron. I tell you, they're different. It is time for a short break.
Imagine if there was a library filled with education and growth within the holistic wellness space without the overwhelm, no notifications, no ding, ding, dings, no weekly calls, just a library of information from different experts all over the world within the holistic wellness space. It would be a kinesiologist sharing a video of what is kinesiology, how can we use it? And if you like that person, you feel connected with that person, you can connect with that person outside of this membership. What if there was someone that would teach you how assisted therapy with psilocybin would work? Oh my God. Someone that would share with you simple tools for you to use to regulate your nervous system on an everyday basis. There was a counselor, a relationship counselor that will come in and teach you how to have healthy conflicts, conversation. What about that? And what if there was also a library of breathwork and meditation recordings that you could listen to at any given point in time? There is a place. It's called belonging. And nobody feels left out. Inside belonging, we all belong. There is no question too strange. There is no share too strange. And this library is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. As you're part of the membership, you have access to all of it. And you can listen to it whenever you want. You don't have to listen to all of it. You only go and listen to the subject that you want to learn more about, the things that you are curious about. What is tallow and why should I use it? What is a naturopath and what do they do? Menopause, what is that? A place where you have access to a full wide range, a smorgasbord, as we say in Swedish, of facilitators, of expert speakers, of coaches, mentors, guides from all over the world, collected into one place, as well as the bonus of the breathwork and meditation recordings created by myself. And we have founding members for as little as less than $7 a month at the moment. I mean, go join.
Anyway, I did. And I totally changed my life. Many things happen in between. There's many stories. If you come to my in-person, the full experience, you will hear very much more of the stories because it's all part of the work that I do. So I've done a lot of mindset work, but I've also been poisoned. I like to call it poisoned by the system's way of supporting me. Anyway, cleansed that out, felt pregnant, and I had severe PTSD still, and I still had anxiety. I still had panic attacks, and I felt pregnant. As soon as I felt pregnant, I removed all toxins out of my life. So I stopped using cleaning products. I stopped with shampoo. I stopped coloring my hair. I stopped all of these things to clear my life. And I'm not really sure where that came from, but I just decided to do that. And I had the best pregnancy. I loved being pregnant. I felt amazing. My body was incredible. And I really felt amazing. Anyway, I had my daughter, and I was not feeling amazing. My partner worked away. I was quite lonely. We moved to a new place, and I didn't have really any friends around here, and I was really struggling. I had this rage in my body. I was sleep deprived, yet I was up to 2 a.m. every single morning binging Netflix, and I was struggling. I was really struggling. Anyway, I seen this Facebook post, and it said free Pilates class for new mothers. And I went. It was free, and it was around the corner. And I was like, I'm going to go. So I did go. And thank holy guacamole, I listened to my intuition to go to that class. That class had nothing to do with Pilates, and that class changed my entire life. I've had many moments that have changed my life, and all of the moments I say that changed my life, I really mean it. It did change my life. I went to this Pilates class, which was amazing. I made some incredible friends that still in my life in one way or another, not very frequently, but for many years, for probably the first 3 years of my daughter's life, probably 4 years of my daughter's life, this was a weekly interaction with these friends and their babies, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And this incredible woman, Nicola Lay, and I say her name with such pride that I was connected with this incredible woman because I felt connected to her. She seen me, she heard me, she listened to me, she made me feel really normal at where I was at. And I joined her program. It was my very first investment in myself, and I was freaking out when I did it. But I did it, and that changed so much in my life. She really brought in a worthiness into my life. I realized how worthy I was. I started to realize who I really was, what I wanted out of life. And she introduced me to breathwork in the most incredible way. And I'm so grateful that I met Nicola before I was introduced to breathwork with anyone else in this world. She'd done breathwork for over 20 years, like maybe even 30 years, for a very long time, being trained by, what's her name? Barbara, maybe? I can't remember her name. A woman from America. She's in her, I would say, very late 80s now. It's incredible. She still looks bang spanky. She looks amazing. And she's an incredible woman. I did a breathwork session with her not too long ago, a few months ago when she was in Australia. But she was one of the very first founders of breathwork. She was like the first person that did hypnobirthing in America. Like, absolutely insane woman, absolutely incredible. And Nicola trained with her. Anyway, Nicola had been doing breathwork for a very long time, and in this program I signed up with, we would do breathwork sessions, and I would say they were trauma release, but not in the way you see on Instagram. They were really deep work, and I remember I would lay on the floor. I would dedicate time to do all of this training we did, and I would listen to the recordings. I would lay on the floor, listen to the recordings, and I would just weep. I would just cry, and I would just feel all this pain in my body. It was freaking, I never experienced anything like that before. I've had a few times where I've been praying so hard to God that I've physically I've vomited. That happened to me a couple of times when I've been praying so hard to God for just saving me. Anyway, I did these breathwork sessions, and there were recordings that I listened to, and just amazing. And moved into, my daughter would lay on top of me. She was just a baby, and she would lay on top of me when I did these sessions, and she would be next to me. She would often fall asleep, and I would cry, and I would have all the sensations and realizations in these breathwork sessions, and she would just lay there and sleep. So breathwork was a massive part. Breathwork was when I realized that all of the mind work I had been doing just was never going to truly change my life. I needed my body to pick up on this. I've been in such a state of survival for so many years. Having a sip. I've been in a state of survival for so many years that my body was just absolutely shot. PTSD, riddled with PTSD, that I moved on to healing myself with help of breathwork and nervous system regulation. I had daily anxiety, like living with anxiety every single day for so many years just became normal until I realized it wasn't normal. And I met Nikolai, and I started to regulate my nervous system, bringing in numerous practices, morning practices. I stopped wasting time watching TV. I stopped watching TV. And I would go outside. I would move my body in feminine movement. I would activate my Shakti. I would bring in the breath. I'll bring in meditation, outdoor time, essential movement, breath work. I'll become really mindful with how I chose to spend my time and what I chose to do with my time. And I really started to prioritize myself. And my body started to become safe. I worked on removing my PTSD, which I did. I don't have it anymore, which feels really beautiful. That brings emotions. If you are someone that's living with PTSD, you know what I talk about. It's fucking terrible. When it comes up, there is just nothing you can do about it, but there really is something you can do about it. It's a matter of creating that safety within your body, and to bring in that understanding and recognition that you can take control in these moments of feeling these sensations. Anxiety was no longer part of my everyday. Panic attacks became less and less. This internal rage just dissolved. And it was not just for breath work. It was all the combinations put together, stopping coffee, spending time in silence, being outdoors in nature, moving my body in sensual follow movements, bringing in breath work, journaling, just really starting talking to myself in a nice way. And I started to regulate my nervous system, and I spent a lot of time just really understanding the connection between the mind and the body. And as I brought this stillness and calm into my body and this sense of safety, which is something I had lacked for so many years, like since childhood, it becomes normal. And when we realize it's not normal, it is a bit of a challenge to move out of it, but it is what we need. You are never going to change your current reality with just mindset or just body work. You need to combine them too. And then I found another beautiful mentor, which was a mentor, like a mindset coach, if you want to call it, but she brought in the nervous system understanding into it all. And I was very supported, and it was very amazing and incredible. So did breathwork alone change my life? No, it didn't. Was breathwork a major part for me to realize that without working on my body, on my nervous system, nothing else was going to change? Yes, absolutely. Am I so fucking grateful that I found someone that actually really cared about all of it, the full embodiment of it all, and not just the lethargic release? Yes, absolutely. I believe that if I would have found trauma release breathwork before I found Nicola, I would have been a shell shock. I would have been absolutely wrecked, and it would have been a lot harder for me to come back into this embodied stillness and calm. I know it for sure. And this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. And this is why I call myself a life-changing teacher, because I haven't just read and studied and been certified. I've lived through the processes, and I've really freaking lived through all the different processes, and I've trialed and tested. And I really do understand how the mind and body need to work together. And we need to create that reset and regulation and recalibration within our body constantly. It is not a one and done. It is a constant process. It's a constant work in process that we need to really honor. And the more we do it, the easier it gets, but it can feel hard in the beginning. So, yeah, did breathwork alone change my life? No, absolutely not. Was it a major part of my shifts? Absolutely. And I'm so passionate with the work that I do, because it is not hard to regulate your nervous system. It is really not hard to regulate your nervous system. The hardest part is to find someone that make you feel safe enough to work on your nervous system. Because if you're someone that spend a lot of time in a state of survival, in fight or flight, for you to find a person you feel really safe with is really hard. And you know what I talk about. If you are someone that's spending time in fight or flight and have for a long time, you know what I mean. It is really hard to find people that you feel safe with. And when you find them people you feel safe with, and if they're educated in teaching you how to regulate your nervous system, everything will change. Everything will change. You need to feel safe enough to let your body come into that state of stillness and peace, and to regulate and recalibrate, and to bring in the mindset with the nervous system work and the body work. And life gets to be really delicious and delightful and amazing and incredible. So, yeah, if you recognize yourself in any of these parts, just reach out, share with me. I would love to know. If you are enjoying these episodes, please share with your friends. Do the like and subscribe and share and all of the things, because it just makes it possible for more people in this world to receive my work and my medicine. And I am extremely passionate about the work that I do. Many things that I do is not even shared openly, because I'm just so passionate, and the work that I do really means a lot to me. And every single student that come in contact and receive on my work, their life is changed forever. And I say that with integrity. Like, I know this for fact, because every person that comes to work with me share with me that their life has been changed in one way or another forever. If you are ready to do the process and go through the journey of bringing the mindset and the nervous system together to truly recalibrate and change the way you live and experience life, then I invite you to join Becoming. Our next round starts in August, and I would love to have you there. It's 8 weeks online. It's a very small, intimate group, and you will change your life forever. You will change the way you live and experience life, and it comes with guaranteed results. We go through a very specific process over the 8 weeks, a process that I've trialed and tested over 20 years, and I brought it together into 8-week process, and it works. Every single student that have been through this process have changed their life in numerous ways. So, yeah, I'll put the link below if you're interested in joining Becoming. I would love to have you. If you have any questions, please don't be a stranger. Reach out, connect@jennyoceans.com. You can find me on all of the social platforms, Jenny Oceans. I'm sending you so much love and light. Do not forget how incredible you are as a being. You are absolutely incredible. I'm sending you so much love and light, and whatever it is that you desire in life, it's available for you. We just need to connect and come into the right timeline and truly recalibrate the nervous system. All right, my darlings, love and light. Ciao.